but that's okay.
Okay. All right, calling to order the September 3rd meeting of the Police Community Advisory Board. Let's start with roll call. So Melinda is absent. River Powers?
Present.
I am present. Marty Malloy?
Present.
Chris Wigenstein? Absent. Chief Slowick?
Present.
And Meg Massey.
She's asked to be excused. She has some health issues, but Deputy Chief Barton is here.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Barton. Thank you. All right, the first item for business is to approve the agenda. Does anyone want to make a motion for approval of the agenda?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
And I'll second it.
That means we all vote for it, right? We're the quorum. So the second item is approval of the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to look over the minutes from the July 2nd meeting?
Yep, and I make a motion to approve.
A second?
Okay, we've approved the minutes. Now Chief Slowick would like to make a presentation.
All right. Good afternoon, CAB members. I just am happy to be here to talk with you today. I do want to bring Lacey Lutz up here. Lacey is an employee with the police department. She's been an employee for over 8 years and is going to be leaving and separating with us tomorrow. Just wanted to recognize her for all the commitment and service. We've had a lot of different challenges at the police department, and Lacey has definitely been an anchor in our records division. She's going to be truly missed, and I just wanted to recognize her for her service to the community because often people forget about the staff who support the police officers. Those staff members are often the ones that keep all of the machines working within the police department, make sure our police reports are operating properly and get to the prosecutor's office, make sure that we're handling a lot of front-end customer service questions and complaints. Often get a brunt of the concerns from the citizens, and they take it with a smile. And Lacey's been very instrumental in being a foundation in our record staff, and then has really trained up some of our new records people that we have. So just want to say thank you, Lacey, and if you want to say anything.
It's been an honor to work for the police department. Best job I've ever had. It's like family. I say that every day. I've never had a job where I wake up and look forward to going to work every day, and I do that here. And we all work great together. We're all a team over there, and without everybody there, we wouldn't be able to produce the work that we do. It has been a great 9 years. I'm gonna miss it. It's not my first choice, but if I ever do come back, I would love to come back to this family at OHPD and the city, and I just appreciate everybody's support. It's been an amazing support system, and I'm gonna miss everybody, so thank you.
Thank you again.
Well, on behalf of the CAB, thank you for your service, Lacey. We truly appreciate your work for our community. Thank you. All right, now is the time we've set aside for public comment.
So do I have a time limit, or
I
I'll
don't
try and
believe
keep
so.
it like as close to 3 as I can, but
Okay.
last night I didn't do so well. So thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak with you and be part of this meeting today. I really do appreciate it. My name is Corrine Lurch. I live at 3033 Robin Lane here in Oak Harbor, outside of city limits. And I came last evening and I spoke to City Council with some concerns that I have in regards to public health and safety, as well as the economic impact that's occurring in our core business district. And when I talk about that, I'm specifically talking about the Enterprise Edition, which is located on Barlow Street between Highway 20 and Barrington Drive, and that surrounding core district, right? So I'm a Realtor with Windermere, and I represent Mr. Mack and his wife at the property listed at 1421 Southwest Barlow Street. I brought that on market in July. We've had interest from several people. We've had at least 4 folks calling, which to have a small town and have that much interest in a commercial property is a really big deal. We started out at a very competitive price, and so we've had potential investors and owner-operators that have reached out. And when speaking with them, the main concern that they've had and reasons that they did not continue with the purchase of the property was because of the ongoing issues with the homeless population that congregates around 1241 Southwest Barlow Street. And things that were specifically cited are open drug use, loitering, panhandling, intimidation, public urination and defecation, and increased crime rates. The increase in this unwanted and unsafe activity is having a direct financial impact on my client. It's caused him to not have the ability to sell his property, and the proof is in the pudding because I've had 4 people say the exact same thing. It also cost him a long-term tenant who was there, and her reason for leaving was that her employees and customers did not feel safe. And in this city, the most important thing that we can do is continue to keep our citizens safe and also to protect the businesses who own and operate here and those property owners who own here. And that is a huge tax base. So when we're talking about our core commercial district, we are looking at Walmart, Hagen, Safeway, Starbucks, Mod Pizza, Bargain Market, 7-Eleven. It's the impact of this, and I'm not trying to dismiss the importance of having a public space for services, but this is not the correct public space for these services. We are taking away from a very important economic center. And when we do that, it doesn't just hurt the citizens, the property owners, the storekeepers, the customers. It hurts our entire city as a whole. This is a tax base that is incredibly important to us. If we have stores like Walmart, who are now getting hit with a B&O tax, if they decide to leave and we lose these anchors and we start losing mom and pop shops that are the bread and butter, and that's how they run their family, if we don't address the crime that's occurring and the nuisance that is being handled and not handled, right? We have folks that have been in the back of Island Pet openly doing meth, and then 10 minutes later, down at Spen getting their breakfast. And I know that we have to be very careful and very cognizant of traipsing on anybody's rights, but I think the biggest thing that's occurring here is that we're not paying attention to the people who own and operate businesses in this district when they do not feel safe, their employees do not feel safe, then their customers don't feel safe. When you have homeless people walking into businesses with gas cans in their hands, trying to panhandle and get money, that makes people nervous. So the city has a document that they produced, and I have a copy of it with me that I can share with you. It's one of the press releases that came out in June of 2025. And in that, they cite RCW 3521-683. And that says, a city shall not prohibit transitional housing or permanent supportive housing in any zones in which residential dwelling units or hotels are allowed. It goes on to speak about emergency housing, which the definition of WAC 458-16-320 defines emergency housing as means a facility whose primary purpose is to provide temporary or transitional shelter and supportive services to the homeless in general, or to a specific population of the homeless for no more than 60 days. The organization at 1241 Southwest Barlow does not house people there. They offer services. They have laundry, they provide meals, and they give referrals to other entities that will help with the homeless situation. And so, because they are not actually housing people here, this RCW, in my mind, and I'm not a lawmaker, but in my mind, this does not this does not support them. They can't go to this and say, well, we can't be moved because of this RCW, because, we house people here. This is emergency housing. It's not, and it's hurting the people around them. And like I said, I don't want to take away from the importance of taking care of people, because I think that's really special and we need to do it, but we need to do it somewhere else. And so my advice to the council last evening was let's find a different place. Before their lease ends, I think they have about 1.5 years on their lease, mandate that they have to find someplace else that is more suitable for their population. And the Haven is down in Coopville. They bring people up here to provide services. Perhaps the county can find something there. But I guess what I'm really interested in doing is protecting property rights and owners' rights and protecting the citizens of our community. And I certainly feel that when we start taking away from someone's ability to sell their property because of a group of individuals who choose not to abide by the laws, that's disturbing, and that's harmful. And so I just really hope that there can be some work done to eliminate so much of the unwanted and unsavory behavior that's going on in our core business district. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me.
Thank you. I do have a question for you. So this has been the topic of conversation of the Community Advisory Board, and I've been to a couple of the meetings with business owners on Barlow Street to just kind of get more information about what's taking place. I think I'd like to know if this is something that, if we were to put forward an idea to City Council, is this something that you would be willing to help support, that you would put some time into?
Absolutely. And here's the problem down in that area with any business. We live in a cancel culture right now. So the one thing that business owners are afraid of is speaking out. It doesn't matter what side of the table you come from, whether you're Democrat or Republican, people are afraid. They're afraid that if they say, we are tired of this homeless situation, we are tired of people being face down naked in my parking lot or doing meth behind my back door, where businesses can't keep a door open, where young women are going out and seeing men with their pants pulled down. It's not becoming of our community. And so, yes, I'm happy to help with that. But I think that if you are going around and you're asking businesses to share their experiences, they will be hesitant to do that. They will be hesitant to speak out because they are afraid of what social media and the public will say if they say something against the nonprofit. And it's not really against the nonprofit, right? It's about the unsavory behavior that has become what it is because of it. And it's not their fault, but something has to be done.
Thank you very much. I
Yeah,
think
my pleasure.
we will likely be in contact with you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Feel free.
Thank
I'd be
you.
happy. I can leave a card with you.
Any other public comments?
Thank you, everybody, for giving me the opportunity to speak. I know I'm not on some type of agenda list. Thank you, Mayor Slowick, Chief Slowick. I'm used to working with your dad, so, I really don't know where to start. I could probably do a little background with a lot of this. My wife and I have been here over...
Excuse me, could you state your name for us, please?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Named Jeff Mack, live at 1123 Southwest Barrington Drive, Oak Harbor. My wife and I have been resident of Oak Harbor for over 35 years. We purchased a retail store, Island Jewelers. We later on moved it down to the corner where Whidbey Coffee is. If anybody's done business with me and know, I was responsible for doing a lot of upgrades to that entire south end of Barlow Street, and have always taken pride in our business, both inside and out. We retired with a 4.9 multiple star rating, and to see what's happening it's devastating. My wife and I don't have a pension. What the results of our retirement is our hard work, and we put in a lot of effort into that area. Now, when it comes to this, I was on council, and this was an important issue to the homeless situation, whether it's housing or whether it's food. How do you deal with it? And it's a necessary item, but it can't be in a location where it affects both the citizens and the business owners and employees. This group or entity has had a track record downtown where some of my good friends, they not only lost their business, they were forced to sell their property on Bayshore Drive, and they took a beating. Some of those people aren't even in the area. They're not even in the state anymore. So that's a track record. And it's really ironic because I've owned the property so long, I've seen a lot of different changes in that property. And, ICOM Dispatch, all I have to do is list the address, and they go, okay, Mr. Mack, what do we have now? I mean, I feel terrible calling these people so much, but I'm just a regular caller because that's the proper channel a person has to take. So there comes a point where what do we do? So I was able to get blessed with a tenant. All of my tenants, I went out and got them. I recruited Dan Allis, owner of Whidbey Coffee. I started him. I came before council, got the approval for the little coffee stand. Later, he grew so fast, we leased the building, and I had the option. I purchased the back building. I went ahead and recruited the owner of Ultimate Cuts Hair Salon from Supercuts. She leased it for so long, I ended up selling her the building. I recruited Northwest Bookkeeping. They took the back suite number 2 of the building. Consequently, they grew so fast, they needed more space. My wife and I decided to retire early. We wrote a new lease in addition to a purchase agreement at the end of that lease. Well, the lease was 4 years. After 3 years, I get a notice that we're vacating the property. Okay, are you still interested in purchasing? No, we are leaving, and we declined to purchase. So the balance of the lease, and this is all documented, Corinne's seen the lease, is well over $65,000. Okay, the purchase price was $7,000. So the building's vacant now. So we're done with that and moved on. And what I really find ironic is all the municipalities are running short on revenue. So the business owners are the ratepayers, the taxpayers. They're the ones who provide the payroll for the city. My job on city council was try to figure out how we're going to pay for the newly finished wastewater treatment facility. So between several council members, we decided this is the best action and so on and so forth. Been in business for 50 years. My father was been in business for that, sole proprietor. I know how to pay bills and to make money. And this is not the way to do it. You're not only cutting off the hands of people providing the funds, so we have an empty building, not producing any revenue. And trust me, you can go ask. Hair salon's next. Island Pet Center's next. So where does it really stop before we can do it? Now, I have some pretty reliable sources in Walmart, and this Walmart store doesn't fit their narrative. They lost a bid permit with the city to rebuild or remodel to accommodate a small grocery area. They were turned down. This new B&O tax, this is going to, somebody in Bentonville, Arkansas is going to check this out, and red flags are going to be raised on what it's going to really cost Walmart to stay here. Now, I don't know 100%. I'm not trying to put the scare in everybody, but these are many issues that the city is facing along with the crime and the defecation, the urine. I mean, I've owned that property for 19 years. Just how many hundreds of photos does this committee want to see in addition to the council? I mean, there's some stuff that'll make your... I called up the health department one time, showed them all the needles there. Well, Mr. Mack, we don't have anybody that's authorized to pick those up. Well, so what am I supposed to do? So they give me these little tubes to pick them up with. Now, believe it or not, I do some of this stuff. There's been so many instances, not sure what's reported or not. But last year, I'm down there cleaning up litter. I forgot my tongs, have my gloves on. I picked some sack up of wrapping paper, and immediately I was overwhelmed, and I had to grab onto the fence there, and I was dizzy, almost passed out. So from then on, I never got any closer than 3 feet to any item what I was picking up. Picking up litter is a day-to-day instance for me. I have had to pay for litter cleanup on a weekly basis. These last 3 years, litter cleanup is costing me daily. I get Spin comes down, one of their employees, and they help out a little bit, but they're not obligated because it's not their property type of thing. So, we've lost Rite Aid, we've lost Island Drug. I see a lot of vacancies down here on Pioneer Way, especially some of the big Interwest building and that type of thing, And then you read this. This is what I find really interesting, and this is as of this morning and now keep in mind that I'm part of this community, but this isn't my community. I've supported it, and my wife and I will stand up against anybody's record of charitable donations, especially to the Help House, for over 30 years. That's what we do. I made several custom pieces for fundraising events, everything. I'm just part of this community. So here's on the city website. The City of Oak Harbor is committed to creating a vibrant community by delivering quality services, enhancing the quality of life, and fostering economic opportunities. Well, I hate to disappoint the city, but I know a jeweler that wanted to open up a store, but he just lost his opportunity because he wasn't going to be anywhere near that neighborhood. And this store is decked out. Trust me, it has amenities inside that would blow any business owner's mind. And it's all listed on the website, that what's for sale and what you're purchasing and that type of thing. So lowered the price $110,000, so my wife and I are eating just shy of $200,000. Now, my wife just paid all the utility bills this morning with an empty building. Now, I'm open to any suggestions and recommendations from either this board and or the city council as just who's going to help us out financially with this type of thing, and I still maintain that I have one of the best looking pieces of property, mine the extra seagull do on my red awning, but that's going to get cleaned up and always has every fall. I was responsible with Christine Cribb for bringing up the concept of lighting up Oak Harbor. I worked real close with her, and the chamber needs to get involved in this. This is part the citizens for health and safety, in addition to a business climate. The chamber needs to get involved. I'm very disappointed that the Island County is not involved, because a lot of this is being bussed in, and they're not the city's buses. They're not my buses. These are county buses. So this is an issue that the county has to step up. I'm paying a lot of property taxes. I mean, I'm paying a lot of money out for what the services I'm getting in return. Now, with that being said, on council, we had a lot of this defund thing going on, and I was one of the few that stood up, and not only we're not going to defund anything, I proposed increases for all first responders across the board. Well, you could have heard a pin drop that night in there. Well, we didn't get any increases, but we sure didn't do any decreases. And I'm a staunch supporter of all first responders. And we have one of the finest police departments for this size of community that I have ever come across. I've known these guys by the first name, and I feel guilty sometimes because I call them by their first name instead of Officer Jones or Officer Garcia, Chief Slowick. I sponsored Chief Slowick in a high school event, but these guys are top notch, and it's a pleasure to do business with them, whatever it comes to. But they're doing what they do, and so, just this past 10 days, I've had OHPD down there over half a dozen times. So, I'm not trying to be sarcastic or anything, but I invite anybody from the council or this committee to walk that alleyway during the middle of the day. Now, you got to do it alone because that's what all the individual employees have to do and their owners. Now, if you really want to do it, you do it what they have to do when Joni from Northwest Bookkeeping opens up at 6 a.m. to get things going and it's dark back there. I mean, I have the most lights on my buildings that anybody has, front, back, side, everywhere. I'm big on security. I've got security cameras around the building. You can't move without being noticed, but not much of a deterrent when people are determined to do something. So you have to really experience with these people. The pet store, Ultimate Cuts, no owners and employees park in that entire alleyway that I entirely fixed up. I keep all the parking stops painted. I'm the only guy in that whole Barlow district that paints their stripes. I added additional handicap railings. I got railings and stripes everywhere. My senior citizens love it. However, they are afraid to shop. So,
Mr. Mack?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to cut you off, but I'd like to cut you off by saying a couple of things that I think might be helpful.
My hearing is very hard. I'm sorry.
So I'd like to say a couple of things that I think might be helpful for you. The Community Advisory Board has been in discussion about reporting to City Council about this very issue. We are in the process of talking about creating some form of transitional housing that might shift some of the traffic, at least, if we can't do something directly about the presence of Spin Cafe, but at least perhaps, I'm trying to come up with the best way of saying this, centralize the problem away from the downtown area, right? We have a couple of ideas, and the second half of our meeting today was to sit and talk about what those ideas would be so that we could present that to City Council. But I want to say a couple of things specifically to you. First of all, it's really important that you do call every time you see some sort of infraction, that you see a problem, because that data helps us make that presentation to City Council to get them to do something about it. So no matter how badly you feel about making those phone calls, please continue to make them, all right? If we have that data, that helps us.
A lot of the merchants are afraid to call. So I got a call the other morning, early in the morning, because Ultimate Cuts went to dump their trash in the dumpster site. Well, they couldn't get in there because there's a homeless camp with two guys inside the dumpster site. They call me. I say, did you call OHPD dispatch? No, we thought we had let you know. But this is what happens. And so I encourage them to call. Like you said, you got to get it on the books. Everybody else the same way. So let me finish up real quickly, and I'll let you continue on. So I'm one of those guys. I provide opportunities. I provide options. Now, there's three options. But this has to move, preferably before the winter season comes on. The county needs to get involved. They have some terrific property out on the end of Oak Harbor Road. They own it. They can do something real cost effective. They own all the property down at their transit station. I was told They got no space, but we have an enormous amount of derelict buses. Sell those buses off for scrap, you put that location there. There's a bus stop there. Last but not least, this may not set with a few people. We've got a convention center or a convention hall event down in the wastewater treatment facility. They got a full kitchen in there. Put spin in that. They're right there. It's on public property. It's not on private property. But to locate this type of entity on private property is not acceptable, period. So again, it's a health and safety issue. It's an economic issue for the community. You know, I appreciate you extending my time, and Mr. Malloy is very familiar with that area. So, but again, this has taken a heavy toll on my wife. She would love to be here, but she is disgruntled and distraught over this beyond you can imagine after this many years.
So we have several vacancies on the Community Advisory Board. If you know someone who would like to work directly on this issue, I
Well,
would
I see you
suggest
have
that they...
three vacancies on 7-seat, 8-seat. So I did attend. Dresker appointed me due to my business. In addition to being on council, I couldn't swing it at that time. But I walked out the door and I told my wife, look at that. They've got a lot of vacancies. We need a high school kid on the board as well for a different set of eyes. So, I mean, this is all important. You guys are doing a terrific job. But, you know, I do not understand this administration where all of a sudden we're left out and something else takes precedent. Now, real briefly, I caught wind of this. This is what is important. I called up one person from the city official because I heard there might be a lease signed with Bill Massey. And I found it real interesting that 3 other department heads show up. I had 4 department heads, including Chief Dressler and Fire Chief Ray Merrill, walk that entire property with me all the way through the back, all the way around, and gave them all bullet points over 3 years ago. This is what is going to happen if this decides to go through. Well, guess what? Here we are. But I didn't think it was going to affect me financially like it has. So, but it was easy to see. So I was hoping that Councilmember Wittgenstein would be here, and that's kind of where I developed a lot of this from. But since we don't have a council member, thank you for taking it back to the council. And, you know, I got my information. Corinne's got it all. And this is all documented, guys. This is all on paper. So I'm not bringing these numbers out of thin air. So where my wife and I go from here, I don't know. So thank you, Ms. Paul.
Thank you. All right. Items for discussion. Post-National Night Out discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to hear everyone's input on National Night Out. This was like our 25th National Night Out. We don't have really good records when we get over that 24-5-year mark, but just looking for some input. I know internally we are interested in possibly having CAB more involved in the planning of National Night Out to maybe help with that in the future. If that's something that the board would be interested in.
I think that would be terrific. It would also, I think, be really nice if there were maybe a booth for CAB,
Okay.
because as we're walking around at National Night Out, nobody knows who we are, or that we're available to chat and to be, I don't know, a liaison to the
Okay.
police department. So that would be nice.
Okay.
I thought it seemed very well attended. I thought the activities for youth were really good. I enjoyed talking to some of the people from the county about juvenile transitional work. And I agree with River that maybe we should have CAB members, if not have their own booth, maybe staff a police booth, right? So that people are aware that there is a community advisory board that they could communicate with if that's what they want to do.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, the police annual update discussion.
So I provided an annual update to City Council the last Tuesday of August. I did provide this, I just did a printout of that slideshow that was provided to City Council for the CAB. Excuse me. That is already on the city's website as well. Just to go over it really quick, in 2025 or this past year, we did update our mission statement and our values. A lot of that was done as we met with staff and developed our 5-year strategic plan. So we pared down some of our values. We went from 5 values down to 3, something that the staff really identified with. Additionally, our former mission statement really was just dedicated to community safety and service. However, it didn't give the staff sort of how we implied that or incorporated that with our values. So the new mission statement is the police department is dedicated to community safety through proactive law enforcement, community engagement. We strive to uphold the values of respect, integrity, and excellence while protecting the lives and property of all those who live, work, and visit the community. So that was just something that the staff really felt was what we were looking for as we really identify how we apply our mission statement to our work. Additionally, here's the update on some staffing. Since then, we have had some changes. Our records supervisor and our lead records person are both leaving this month. So you met Lacey. Our records supervisor is Lisa Edlin. She's moving with a transfer with the Navy. And then we have some future staff changes within our commission staff. We have a sergeant that's moving to New York probably towards the end of the year, and maybe another person leaving as well. That's to be determined. But we recently did a lieutenant assessment center, which sort of rounds out our command staff. And we offered a conditional offer of employment to an outside candidate. So we do have another, that's sort of the green represented lieutenant there. The blue one is an unfilled position that will promote internally is the plan. So, and then with all of that, we currently have 4 unfilled police officer positions, which are represented in the blue staff thing there.
So do we have people in the pipeline to fill those positions?
So we've got interviews tomorrow. We have a few candidates in our applicant pool. We are definitely looking for qualified candidates. So if anybody on CAB wants to go to the police academy, we're looking for qualified people. And pretty excited about just finding the right fit for us. I think that's extremely important because often you can find the wrong person who can upset the apple cart or really just make things challenging. So we're really looking for that person that really wants to serve our community, live in our community, and be a long-term solution. Yeah. Additionally, I just provided some sort of statistical breakdown areas over the last year of some of our proactive focused areas where we look at schools, parks, downtown traffic, and community. This is sort of how that reporting has broken out. This reporting or how we collect this data is through officers identifying the work that they're doing, and then they put it in a tracker for us. An example would be almost all our staff this morning was out at the schools for the first day of school. So that would be a school function, and we track our hours and time of day, that type of stuff. I think the biggest thing is some of our accomplishments last year. We did receive a reaccreditation through WASPIC, which is a 4-year accreditation cycle. That was a pretty big lift for us. With Deputy Chief Barton's assistance, we were able to successfully create our 5-year strategic plan. We updated and revised our mission, vision, values. We deployed professional standards software at the beginning of this year, which brings us in compliance with the RCW and Senate bill there. Also allows us, as of yesterday, we have to start doing mandatory use of force reporting to the state, which started on the September 2nd. So Any incidents of use of force could be anything from you're pulling your firearm out and pointing at somebody, or a taser deployment, or sparking a taser, to having to go hands-on with somebody, to any type of deadly force. All of that gets reported now to the state, and is tracked on one data collection database. So, with the help of City Council and the mayor, we have transitioned, or we're transitioning from pooled vehicles to fleet vehicles. That is one of the recruitment and retention mechanisms or tools that we're using. Additionally, it really provides some officers with pride and the quality of vehicle that they have, making sure that they're maintaining their vehicles, making sure that we're able to extend the life of vehicles. It's reducing the maintenance that we're having on vehicles. There is an initial upfront cost of having to buy more fleet vehicles. However, we went several years with being unable to buy vehicles because they weren't available, and we took that surplus, pushed it into new vehicles, along with retaining old ones, and we're doing pretty good on getting everybody their own car. So we went to assigned laptop devices, went away from pooled computers, and that is to maintain CJIS or criminal justice information compliance is the purpose for that. And then we have our Citizen Academy starting here on September 18th. So there are still spots. If anybody's interested, please let us know. We'll get you in. We look at strategic plan. Really, those 4 areas of the strategic plan are the recruitment and retention, organizational efficiencies, accountability and transparency, and growth management are our 4 main areas of focus. That breaks down to 11 objectives, and then I think it's something like 43 individual actionable items that we have over the next 5 years. Next page, calls for service. We're up from last year. Still down from our high of 2022, which I believe really was an abnormality when you look at the full trends, but across the board, 2022 was very high for all of law enforcement. I think that also coincides with when Washington State went for 18 months without a drug law, and also the impact of not being able to pursue vehicles and the amount of crime that went with all of those changes within the state. State has backtracked and provided some mechanisms for law enforcement to take legal action. However, they're not what they were in 2019, 2020. So. The next page is really just our arrests, information, misdemeanor arrests, felony arrests, traffic and infractions. We're up in a lot of those categories, down in infractions, but trending pretty consistent. A lot of that difference is based on just having new officers and them getting through training and then really getting comfortable in the job. That usually takes a couple years to do. When we move to the next page, our support services, we are up tremendously in our public records requests over the last 4 years, and that's just going to continue to grow. Additionally, we've had several high-profile SWAT deployments where we've assisted either the DEA, drug task forces, those type of things, where we've recovered quantities of firearms, drugs, cash. There was actually the day of this presentation, there was actually another operation that we had where we recovered 20 pounds of methamphetamine, 14 firearms. So, a couple of the firearms were stolen. So, but that's in our region. That's in our Island County, Skagit County region. This next page really came with a would-be newspaper article. The News Times did not interview me at all. They just took my comments from City Council and ran a news article with it. But looks like they interviewed the director at Spin. But this is human service hours. So these human services hours are Island County Human Services. This is all of the different services provided to Spin over the week. It's about 35 hours per week. This does not account for law enforcement hours. I made that statement to City Council as well. Oak Harbor does work with our co-responder, which does about 10 to 11 hours a week at Spin. So we typically have an officer riding with the co-responder. And then we also do proactive patrols in the morning for that business district where between 6 and 7, we're trying to have officers down there, making sure people are not sleeping in doorways, moving people along, being in the alley, just moving, just doing whatever we can to help provide some safety, public safety feeling in that area. We provide that along the rest of Pioneer Way as well in the other areas, but specifically that impact is often focused on that Southwest Barlow, Southwest Business District there. So. And then just lastly, we've had several community engagement events over the years. So between National Night Out, Citizen Academy, the Rockathon up at Regency on Woodby, Coffee with a Cop. We had a couple different community outreach events, just talking about spin. And then lastly, on that bottom left-hand corner, we actually had an officer go with 2 different student teams from the Boys and Girls Club. They went to Marysville, competed in a video game competition with 20 other Boys and Girls clubs, and it was pretty cool opportunity. So a lot of police officers were involved and a lot of students. That was over the summer. So happy to take any questions.
I have a couple of questions. First of all, is there a way that we could get, and I know you've gone over some of this with us before, but that we could get a metric on how many both misdemeanors and felonies have been related or have involved drug use?
Yeah,
Is that possible?
certainly.
Okay.
So I will say probably the only way I can track that is any drug-related charge referred to the prosecutor.
Okay.
It would be very difficult for me to, if an officer didn't charge somebody drug use but maybe had paraphernalia on the person, could see that there was some, or the person didn't have a crime but was impaired, that's not a crime. So that would be very difficult. So it's probably going to be a little skewed. The only really number I could track would be the data that's referred to the prosecutor for charging.
Okay, I think we might just be interested in that as we're moving forward with questions about public safety on
Certainly.
Barlow and some of those
Okay.
some of those complaints. My second question for you is, are you feeling like the department is appropriately staffed for the increase in public disclosure requests?
No.
That's a huge increase.
Yeah, so we're actually facing a challenge right now with staff leaving. We're having to do some rearranging of staff. Starting next week, the 8th, we're actually shutting our lobby down for a week to send a couple staff to training. However, I have to pull an experienced person out of our evidence room who has public records training and also does our body-worn camera redaction. That person that's really going to be their primary focus for just one job. The city did staff up a person to do that job. However, I still have to hire 2 more bodies. So it's going to be a little challenging. I think that we can manage.
Okay.
At this time, I know that that's a consistent conversation with the mayor and city staff. So, definitely something that it is a big lift right now, and we have a lot of public records requests. And I'll be honest, the body-worn camera redaction's a big challenge, and Washington State doesn't allow us to recoup all our expenses for all that time. So.
What does that mean?
So, for example, if I had a public records request that somebody's asking for police reports, emails, anything like that.
Well, I'm asking about the cameras.
Oh,
What do you mean by the redaction?
So body-worn camera. For example, if you requested body-worn camera video, if there was anything that can't be disclosed, a driver's license photo, juvenile actually the face of a juvenile, anything like that. So if it ends up being a camera, body-worn camera where it's in the school, I mean, that you could have all those students that have to get blurred out, all of those different things. So it is
Okay.
pretty challenging
Thank you.
to do all that work. So,
Okay, thank you.
yep. Any other questions?
Okay. The 5-year homeless housing plan update.
Perfect. So I did have, just last week, we had our third meeting of our 5-year homeless housing committee. That committee will be creating a document which will be the Island County's 5-year homeless housing plan, which is required by state law. The intent of that plan is to go around to each jurisdiction and a presentation be made. So for the county and then the 3 municipalities in the county. And then hopefully get some buy-in from each jurisdiction to say, hey, we're willing to take on a piece of this project. Right now, the group is still talking about very high conceptual questions that are not specifically focused on Island County and what our needs are. There was a change in our conversation where we deviated from the state's questions and really said, okay, what is the actionable item that we need for the next 5 years? For example, do we need a shelter community that provides 0 days to 180 days of stability so somebody can get stable, get some mental health support, get on medication, get off drugs, to be able to go in transitional housing? Do we need, what are those type of things? Where do we need those displaced at throughout our 2 island county and north and south of Whidbey Island? So we did start having some of those conversations, and a lot of that was directed based off of knowing that if this group isn't focused with a plan and all it is just these pie in the sky ideas, nothing will ever get done. We know there will be no focus in the elected officials to say, okay, we understand the goal is to create X. And let's just say it's a shelter or a pallet shelter or something like that. It's not for this group to tell that jurisdiction where to place that in their community, but it is hopefully to get support from that jurisdiction to say, hey, we're willing to do 10 beds down in Langley, and Oak Harbor's willing to do 30 beds, something like that. And then that jurisdiction can decide where does that go. And now it's connecting with a nonprofit or a for-profit to manage and operate the facility, and then start steering some of those regional funds or state funds or federal funds that that the county often receives, and then that gets dispersed throughout the county. So it's hopefully coming up with a common vision with actionable items, and my hope after this next meeting we'll actually have some of those items to move forward. One of the tasks that we had from the meeting was to come back at our next meeting with 4 to 5 actionable things that we think we need in the county. And I am very open to hear from this group what some of those might be that I could take back there and as part of that representation. And you don't have to have that right now. I'm happy to take this offline too, if that's what it ends up being, if you want to put some thought into it.
I think for me, coming up with 4 or 5, I'd like to put some thought in it, but having attended one of those meetings, my feeling for the CAB, and I think that was really what I had hoped we would talk about today, was that our direction should be focused on what the city of Oak Harbor can do to be moving ahead with a solution to this problem, as opposed to spending another year talking and investigating and researching the problem. My sense from my discussion with the county was that the movement was going to be very slow. So I think as a CAB, we ought to develop a recommendation for city council based on what we think Oak Harbor ought to do. I've talked to
Chief Slowick and Chief Barton a number of times. I've spoken to River about this. I am on board if we can get community partners involved in this with creating a pallet shelter program that would be humane, but would also then shift some of the problems for the local economy in a different direction. Because I think what the community members we're speaking about today is this is a completely valid criticism that this is a cyclical problem that is going to get worse if we don't do something to address it. But I do think we need some more direct buy-in from business leaders, perhaps from the Chamber of Commerce and from other community organizations in order to get some buy-in. Yeah, so River pointed something out in some of the materials that you presented with us today. River, would you like to?
I love this information about the pallet homes. And what I noticed on the one in Everett is that there is some very colorful artwork on these buildings, and that would equate to sponsorship, which would be a really brilliant way of bringing in some business community dollars to help with the project, is to have sponsors pay to have their logos, their design on the buildings. It colors it up, and it would provide great exposure for those businesses who took advantage of that.
Can I just talk about what the documents are real quick? Is that
Would love that.
okay? So these are so as a cab, we've done a couple tours. One is we went to the First Step Center in Burlington. That is a 45 pallet community that is operated by a nonprofit. It is owned by the city of Burlington. That's city of Burlington land that it's installed on. It is in an industrial area off of any, removed from any grocery stores and shopping centers and all of those things. The intent behind that is to provide a safe, stable place where people can live temporarily as they get moved through. Either provide some stability or get available transitional housing. The other part of that is the pallet shelter homes or units are all built in Everett, Washington. That's where the company is at. So they are built locally, and they are low maintenance. You can replace a single wall, replace the flooring, whatever those things might be. They have options for single units, where it might be that's a small unit, which really can have 2 people, or a larger unit, which can have a family of 4. And they don't have any running water, but they have heat and electricity, those type of things. They are an option for transitional and stable housing options. And I do think that we do have some entities within the city that either have property or a desire to help support this project. The other document, so that's 2 documents. I just gave you two case studies. One was from Everett, one was from Santa Fe. The other document was we went and did a tour of the Recovery Cafe, which is in the old McDonald's, which is right on the main strip in Mount Vernon. That is in a business district area that has many other businesses co-located with it. That is not this current model that we have here. A Recovery Cafe model, there are over 100 recovery cafes in the nation. It was started in Washington State, this model. It is a supportive model to provide people with, and you can read all of the information here, but a location where they can provide some therapeutic, supportive community founded assistance. And this is also where there are appointments and other people come in, like Island County Human Service workers and co-responders and all of those other clinicians that are either mental health or caseworkers or managers to get people to other appointments and those type of things. So it is a model that possibly could work in our community. And those are two things that we have locally in our region because a lot of our dollars that come in for example, ITUA, which is our stabilization center that we have in Oak Harbor, that is a 10-bed facility, but it's for a 5-county region. It's for Snohomish County, Skagit County, Whatcom County, San Juan County, Island County. The same is the money that goes into Skagit County, that federal money or state money, that's for a 5-region county. And I think we really need to be looking at how can we be either mirroring similar programs or supportive of similar programs so that we're not creating redundant things and being able to provide proper support while maintaining a safe, thriving community that really supports businesses and provides public safety for all citizens.
So I have a few things to say. Give me just a second. First is I want to make it clear that as a CAB, we are concerned for public safety of the community and those who are unhoused, that this is not an effort to make people disappear. That's not the goal here. The goal is to provide some sort of pathway to stability for people so that business can thrive alongside people in the community and people who are unhoused have access to the services that they need. I think the second is that if we think about sponsorship, which I think is a phenomenal idea and might be a way that we could get the business community involved in this, the main financial obstacle to this is really the cost of the operation itself. It's security and mental health workers tying services to the site where we would create something like a pallet shelter. So we should just keep that in the back of our minds. But I'd like to move that the CAB focus their report to City Council on this particular issue, that we make a recommendation to City Council. I would write something up. I would ask for help from all of you, where we would present to them some ideas for creating a pallet shelter community and maybe shifting to this Burlington model of both Recovery Cafe, where there would be limits on spend, but also to a pallet shelter community like what we visited in Burlington. I'm motion that our report focus on the creation of a plan for the city of Oak Harbor to create a community pallet shelter to address the homelessness issue.
So my question was, can you actually, as the chair?
Oh, can I make a motion? I just did. Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, so that's what we'll do. Our report to City Council, right, will be focused on this particular issue. Yep? Good idea. Yep, okay.
I just had a question of what a pallet community is.
Yeah, so
Do they build them out of pallets?
no, actually, I'm happy to provide you this handout after this is done. It actually is the reason they call it a pallet shelter is it actually gets delivered on a pallet. Everything, all the walls are insulated. They're all. They did, yeah. It is a. Yeah. Yeah. Can you talk at the podium so we can record it, please? If it'll be allowed, I guess that's the question.
It's allowed.
Thank you. Jeff Mack, 1123 Southwest Kalama Loop, Oak Harbor. This is on the topic we're talking about, which is homeless shelter. I proposed a couple different options for meal site, that type of thing. This can also be used, again, I see that piece of property at the end of Oak Harbor Road. I see a lot of open space up there. I see an entirely enclosed-in area. I see the county already owns it. I look at all the property taxes I've paid for the last 30 years. I do believe the county needs to step up, in my opinion, to provide some kind of location for this. And again, that's a location where it's right on the corner of Oldfield Road and Oak Harbor. It's out somewhat be west of their other facility they have on Oak Harbor Street. So again, this could work. In addition to, there could be enough space for Spin to relocate. But I think something else needs to be brought into this factor too. And I've already have supported this somewhat off record. Chief Slowick is supporting the purchase of a piece of property that's for sale on Goldie Road, and I believe that price tag is 2.7 for that. I know the facility, lost my lifetime membership there, but so did some other people. But there's enough property around there that this could also be utilized for something like that. Now, please don't take this the wrong way or anything, but working with Chief Dresker on council, we had a problem with arresting people. We have no jail space. So this can always be integrated down the road because of that piece of property. This facility can also be used as a fundraiser. I think everybody's overlooking at this. This could be leased out or rented for different fundraising events to raise revenue, whether it's to purchase the property in addition to possibly funding something down the road for the city of Oak Harbor and the Oak Harbor Police Department. The county could get involved and associate with the city, as well as these other jurisdictions in the area to use that facility, as Chief Slowick mentioned in the article that I read. So that's an option. I know a lot of friends, including myself, that would like to put my skills up against any OHPD officer and use that facility. It's just sitting there vacant. So again, I'm one of those people that I can only talk so much, and I dig in and I do the work and I get results. So this is just a couple different options, and it would lead to opportunities for Anacortes, Skagit, all these small municipal police departments in the area could get together and get the citizens involved in that type of thing. But I'm not sure the total acreage there or anything, but this type of property, as property is just getting dwindling, it may not be available down the road. So I've supported as a resident to see if the city can bite that off with funding from the county and other jurisdictions in the area. Like someone told me, there's only so much property for sale on the island. That's it. So good luck with that, Chief Slowick, but I commend you for stepping out on that. I think it's a sharp idea to move forward on that. So thank you. Thank you for your time,
Thank you.
Chairman Paul.
Thank you.
So the only question I have is, when would you like to do a presentation to City Council? The earliest could be November. Okay. Okay. Nope. I think there's only one City Council meeting in December, if I recall. I will. Give me a second. I'll actually just look it up right now.
When is your grandbaby? Oh, that's early. Okay. That's right away. I can shoot for December.
Okay, so
And what happened?
no, there's no workshop. So it looks like it's either the 2nd or the 16th of December.
Okay.
The 16th is.
This preferred?
Is preferred,
Okay,
yeah.
I will submit the agenda item then.
Okay. So individually, I'd like to meet with members of the CAB over the next, say, month, so that we can talk about what that report would look like. We want to be careful about not violating sunshine laws, so we'll circulate it before we come together in a public forum again, right? So I will reach out to both of you and to Melinda. Are there other comments? I have just one other comment, and that is that I really think, I've asked 2 people, cannot guarantee that they will apply, but if what we want to do is move forward with this agenda to really try to light a fire under the relevant actors, which is, I think, how we need to be thinking about this, right, is lighting a fire. We don't have that much power, it's just influence. It would be very helpful to have more members of the board. I've asked 2 people to apply. If you can think of other people, business owners who could present that perspective, people with experience in transitional housing or drug dependency issues, that would also be very helpful. People with experience in health and human services besides ex officio Wigginstein. Recruitment would be a good thing to think about for the next month or so, right? They have to apply for that, but it would be helpful to have more mouths out there. And I think our next agenda should focus specifically on this issue and that report. Is that, do we like that?
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Nope. Meeting's adjourned.
All right.